We have brought 32 wounded warriors from both Fort Campbell and Fort Knox to thank them for their service and to provide them a great hunting experience here on the depot. I'm an active duty Army officer. I spent 18 years in the Army. Of that, I spent 30 months in combat, split between Iraq and Afghanistan. And I fully understand what happens in combat when a soldier is wounded. For our civilians in the room, what I want to do is kind of explain to you very briefly what happens when we have a soldier that become wounded in combat. Immediately from the point of their injury, they are evacuated to the next level of care in theater, whether that be at the platoon level, the company level, the battalion level, with the goal of getting them to the highest level of care we can in theater. Once that happens, they will receive surgical needs or whatever needs are required based off of their injury, with the ultimate goal of stabilizing them in theater and evacuating them to Landstuhl Army Hospital in Germany. Once they get to Landstuhl in Germany, again, they're evaluated, they're stabilized the best they can with the goal of getting them returned to the continental United States as quickly as possible. When we bring soldiers back to the United States, the goal is to bring them back to their unit of station. So if they deployed from Fort Campbell, we want to get them back to Fort Campbell or Fort Knox. Sometimes that's not always possible based on the types of injuries that they have. But when they get back to their duty stations, they're assigned to units that are called WTUs, Warrior Transition Units. And when the soldiers get there, their sole purpose in life is to get better and heal from their wounds. They're not required to do other duties. Their only job when they get there is to get better and recover from their injuries.
Our wounds are both visible and hidden. This weekend we get the opportunity to set that aside and enjoy ourselves in the great outdoors. If we look back to the late 60s and early 70s, our brothers and sisters in arms didn't get treated like this. They were spit on, called names for doing the job that their country asked them to do. However, in this era, when we redeploy, we are greeted by tens of thousands of people with open arms to welcome us back home and help us recuperate from our wounds and just to adapt back to our normal day-to-day lives.
With Wounded Warriors, we have people that have made a tremendous amount of sacrifice to our country. You know, they've been over there, they fought for our country, and while they were over there, they received, they were wounded. Some of them are able to pick up and move on, some not.
Sometimes that transition is very difficult for that to happen. There's a lot of people, a lot of programs like this program here, the Wounded Warrior Hunt and whatnot, that helps us get away from the hospitals, helps those guys get away from the hospitals, get away from that routine, and allows them to get out and just get away from it. So separate themselves for that. Just, whether it's 4 days, heck, it could just be for a couple hours, and that in itself is motivation enough to get up and continue to drive on to do bigger and better things.
It's the people given to soldiers, it's showing me that, people out here really care what I'm doing, and showing these soldiers that, no one's forgetting what we're doing, going out and getting hurt and sacrificing everything we're doing and coming back, and they're taking care of us and giving back to us for what we give to them,
It's important as a society that we never forget the sacrifice that these young men and women make for their country. And it's even more important as we look at, as the wars in Iraq are winding down and scheduled to wind down in Afghanistan in 2014, that we never forget as a society that the bidding that these young men and women did on behalf of their nation.
Ready on line! Ready! Stand by! Fire!
It's it's a tremendous honor for me to be out here. I love working with the troops, and I know from personal experience what it's like, in the past is you got hurt, and a lot of times is the military just writes you off, and but now, like I said, they've changed. They've come up with a new plan, a new policy. I think it's far superior than what they've done in the past. I really love it, and I like working with the troops, and got some things in common with them. So,
In closing, I'd like to share a small quote that a young lieutenant told me when I was a young private many moons ago. I didn't understand it at first when he made me understand this quote. I stood there in front of him in a position of attention, and he said, your responsibility is, I'm going to tell you a quote, your job is to tell every other private in the platoon what this is. And if somebody didn't know it, then I was the one that received the punishment for it because they didn't know what it was. What the quote was, a character is formed on the anvil of adversity. All of us have been placed on this anvil at one time or not in our career, mostly as soldiers. You know, we've been put on that anvil of adversity. The key thing is what we do while we're there is what makes us the people that we are. When we're put in those positions of adversity, whether it's in the middle of a firefight or you're sitting in physical therapy trying to learn, you know, how to walk again, how to use your prosthetic, how to just stand up straight, even just how to feed yourself or learn how to talk again. That anvil is placed there for a reason. And it's what we do as soldiers or the individuals that help us. What we do at that point is what makes us the people that we are.